Peace and blessings to you all, and welcome to yet another video. As usual, I like to come on here once a week and just share messages of guidance, messages of support, insights that will help you, the seeker, the starseed, the spiritual being who is on your journey of better knowing yourself, but better comprehending the world in which we live, because deep down you have always known that you were here for a reason. And as the world continues to go through a period of great spiritual awakening, many people are being awakened and are feeling called to something more, because your soul knows deep down that we are living through times of great change, and no one can really say or know what these changes are going to unfold towards, but we can all feel that something really big is happening. And we know now that Earth is on her journey of returning to a golden age. And there have been many golden ages upon this earth when we look back to ancient civilizations such as Egypt and Tartaria, which has been erased from our historical archives. But these were times in which human beings were connected to much higher levels of consciousness. And they understood that spirituality was at the core, should I say, and the key to everything in life, because they overstood even that we are soul beings having a physical human experience. But the human vessel was created in divinity and was created to perform all kinds of miraculous and incredible things. And we see these things happening every day in the physical world when you look at the things that human beings are capable of when they put their mind to it and put all of their energy into conquering that thing. Then human beings are incredible and can do incredible things. It is simply that we have forgotten who we really are. And we have forgotten that we are intergalactic and interdimensional beings that have traveled the cosmos and the galaxy at large, and that this is not the only life that we live. There are many lives that we have lived and many lives that we will continue to live. But what is incredible now is that even though Earth has been a planet that has been colonized for, I want to say, hundreds of thousands of years by species that were not originally from Earth. And so we have to realize that all the movies that are being shown to us in Hollywood, for so long I always wondered, it takes a lot of genius to make movies. It's like these people have a lot of imagination, and I would always wonder where do they get all of these ideas? And people will say it's fiction, but art is actually always modeled on reality. So we have to remember that they have been telling us for a very long time about the true origins of human beings and Earth and what our purpose is here. And so we are living through incredible times, and we are going to continue seeing incredible things happening. And as much as there are a lot of scary things that are taking place when we look at it at a 3D level, and we look at what's going on in the political arena and all this talk of war in Europe and all these battles with taxes and tariffs and all of this stuff going on between the US and China, I mean, we can definitely see that sorry, there's so many things going through my mind, but essentially we can see how what is happening at the higher levels and at the higher dimensions is definitely having an impact on our physical world. And so the more we continue to expand our thinking, and we continue to look at what is happening from a much higher perspective, the more it is easier for us to flow through these darker times when we're looking at it from a material sort of 3D aspect, because all of these changes, as much as they are scary and uncomfortable, and as human beings, we fear change. And so when we looked at the world and all the changes that are taking place, it can feel somewhat chaotic. But when we know that all of these changes are actually happening as they are preparing to take us back towards the golden age of humanity, then these changes, they're not so bad, because also it's difficult for us to understand why these changes are taking place and why all of these negative things that we are seeing playing out on the global scene taking place. When we understand the context of why all of these things are happening, then we see them as not being bad, and that this is actually a time of celebration for human history, because we are in a time where a lot of information is continuing to come out, and we are going to see more and more crazy information that is going to really question the mainstream narrative of the history that we have been lied to about. And so this message is really for those of you who are on a path of spiritual awakening and are needing some information as to what is going on, how can you navigate, maybe some other insights that will come in as I've pulled cards, feeling that there are messages that are needing to come in from the dragons, the ancestors, the fairies, the galactic world at large. And so let's see what the cards have to say. So the first card we have here is Ankh. The breath of life connects your breath. Your breath is the heartbeat. Yes, the Ankh, the original cross. And interesting now when we look at the cross that is depicted by Christianity, it is just totally square lines, whereas with the Ankh we have circular shapes that start to come in, and this is very much the circular represents the feminine. And so we are at a time where we are seeing the rise of the divine feminine, and really we have to just say it as it is. We are seeing the rise of Africa. We are seeing the rise of the Great Mother, of Mother Africa and all of her children. The children of the sun are awakening, because within the original blueprint of the divine earth was that the black people are the original grid keepers of the earth. The role of the black people is to protect the earth, is to live in harmony with the earth. And this is why, because Africa represents the root chakra of the earth. And so the reason why the negative powers and entities have had to keep Africa in a state of oppression and suppression for so long, we have to understand that everything that is playing out and all the things that have been happening in the physical world have been happening more so because of how they're dealing with the energies of the world. Because we have to accept the fact that we are energetic beings and energy is affecting us all the time, and there is energy in the air. This is what Nikola Tesla discovered, and this is why in those ages of Tartaria, which was the 1800s and before, the early 1800s and before, was part of Tartaria that has been erased off of all maps and out of human history. But this was an advanced civilization of human beings that were operating with much higher consciousness and therefore much higher spiritual knowledge, because they had understood that spirituality and science go hand in hand. And so they had built buildings that was allowing them to harness energy from the ethers. Whereas the matrix system in which we live, because they are of a such low density and such low vibration, and they do not have, and they are parasitic beings in nature. And what is a parasite? A parasite is something that needs to feed off of something else because it has such low energy. So those beings that have implemented and created this matrix system in which we live are essentially parasitic beings. And so what is it that they feed off of? Well, they feed off of us, because as human beings we are electromagnetic beings. But the thing with us is that we know how to create our own energy. We have a constant supply of energy, and that is what the breath is. When we learn to master our breath, this is why the yogis talk so much about breathing and have so many practices around the breath, because the number one thing that is giving you life is your breath, and the breath is what connects us to the cosmos. They say that when we were created by the gods, they blew their breath of life into us when we were molded from the earth. Well, that is the story of the black people. They were molded from the clay of the earth, hence why their skin is dark. And so we are at a point of remembering, and it is a remembering that is happening deep within our DNA, and our DNA is a living remembering code of so much information. And we are at a point in time where we are being asked to reawaken and remember, and this is happening in all kinds of different forms for many of you out there, and it can seem scary, it can feel scary, and it can feel overwhelming. And of course, I remember back in the day when I went through my own awakening, and it was overwhelming enough when the earth felt still had some semblance of normality to it. But now, when everything is speeding up and things are moving faster and the changes are happening exponentially and everything is just happening so quickly, it is even more overwhelming. But you, beloved soul, are awakening to the remembrance of who you really are, and the fact that your soul chose to incarnate here at this time because you came here to be part of the architects, of the builders of the new earth and the new frequencies and the new golden age that we are. We are in the process of building the foundation of that new golden age at this moment. So yes, take time to connect to your heartbeat. 11:11 on the clock as I say this. Connect to who you truly are. Allow yourself to remember, beloved soul, who you truly are. So the next card we have is potluck, celebration, coming together. Bring your own contribution. Yes. This is what we should be celebrating at this time. It is the reunification of many different races coming together. And now what we have to understand is everything on this earth, all the wars and all the tactics that have been used to divide and conquer humanity, especially this division along racial lines, is synonymous with the galactic plan of humanity, because within our physical forms, knowing that it is our souls that animate this physical body, is our souls come from different galactic races, the Lyrans, the Andromedans, the Arcturians, the Sirians, the Pleiadians, the Orions, the Draconians. All of these different are intergalactic ancestors essentially, and family members. And so we in human form are literally just housing housing different galactic souls within us. And so this is why humanity has also been divided along racial lines in the 3D, to keep us separate from all the different wisdom and information that we hold. And this is the thing, is that the Africans, the Asians, the Americans, the indigenous Americans, the Asians, they all hold different pieces of the cosmic puzzle, because they all came from different star-seeded races. And so we are all star seeds. We all came from different intergalactic planets out within the cosmos. And so it is about coming back together, celebrating our unique differences and marrying them together and taking the best of all worlds to create something beautiful, because we all have something incredible. The white people have incredible things, the black people have incredible things, the Asians have incredible things, and it is about bringing all of these things together and marrying them together to create something that comes out of the sharing of all of these different wisdoms that are all beautiful and that all have things to teach. We can all be teaching one another, but we have been taught and programmed to hate each other and to fear each other because we are all different. And that is the beauty when we embrace our difference and see the value in what we each bring to the table. And this is what it says, coming together, bring your own contribution, celebrate. Then this is when, this is how ancient, oh my gosh, there's so much information coming through. This is how the ancient civilizations lived in harmony with one another and sharing their divine wisdom and their information and creating things of beauty. So the next card we have is Flower Girl. Go out and play. Take time in nature. Yes, as I always say in my videos, nature is so healing, because nature is still the closest that you can get to the natural divine blueprint of the earth. Because when you look at the birds and the flowers and the trees and the plants and how they all work so beautiful, how beautifully in harmony, and when we as human beings are in harmony with nature, everything just feels so miraculous and everything feels so easy and everything just makes sense. So remember when you were a child and all you did was go out and play in nature, how free you felt. And this is what we're all searching for as adults, is that freeness. But the freeness that we're missing is we've totally severed ourselves off from our imagination and our intuition and all this magic that exists in the world that we have been taught to turn off as we got older. So the next card we have here is Revelation. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we are living through the times of revelations. We are remembering the truth of our planet. We are remembering the truth of our species as of our race as humans, why we are here, what was the true stories of our past. Because when you think about all the information about our past that has been burnt down conveniently, such as the Great Library of Alexandria and all the information that is being held within the Vatican Library that very few people are allowed to access, and all the information that is continuing to be censored and has been being censored for as far back as we can remember. Why the need to censor so much information? If the truth that we have been programmed into is the absolute truth, then people will have those people who are trying to impose this false truth upon us. They will have no issues with us questioning, but of course people don't want you to question too much when they know that you can get to the truth with your questions. So we are living through a time of revelation. You are a visionary and change maker. You were sent here to be the messenger for yourself and others, to activate hope, to be active hope, to live the message. Exactly. Just as in the Bible, there were always messengers that were sent down, like Moses and Noah and Jesus Christ, and all these beings that were sent as messengers, as living messengers for the Most High, to let people know, hey, I will no longer accept this nonsensical bullshit you guys are calling the truth, and accepting this godless society to continue existing and then calling it godly. Well, the Most High is just like, absolutely not. I will no longer accept this anymore. And so people have been given the opportunity to choose which path it is that they want to be on, continuing moving forward. And we have stepped into a new dispensation. People will have you continue believing that we're on some doom and gloom timeline, but I really don't feel that. And I'm someone who's always been very tuned in and connected to the energies at large. And as much as they will have you believe that there is a lot of doom and gloom out there, I beg to differ and to really say that I feel more peace than I have felt in a very long time, knowing that what is happening is that humanity is finally going to be able to know the truth about who they are, and to be able to reunite with their galactic brothers and sisters and realize that we are far greater than what we have been taught and programmed to believe, that we are some primitive race and that we are the most advanced we've ever been before. Well, I'm here to tell you, beloveds, that you're in for a crazy ride, because we're about to keep getting more revelations that are just going to be feeling more and more out of this world, and you are going to start realizing that reality is going to feel more and more science fiction than ever before. And then you're going to start realizing that all those fantasy sci-fi movies and series that they've been pushing on us has actually been soft disclosure, letting us know slowly about what is happening. So now moving into the messages that we have for the dragons. Now, I don't know about you. I'd be very interested to hear from you in the comments if you've been having any connections with the dragons. And I've been having so many connections with the dragons for the past few years. And all this stuff that they tell us about the dinosaurs were the dragons. And people will say that I'm crazy, and that's okay. Call me crazy. I totally accept that. and totally accept my weirdness, because I know that the dragons exist, and I know that they existed on this physical planet, and they were what people call the dragons, the dinosaurs. So anyways, what message is the message? The dragons actually come from 12th dimension energy and above, and the dragons are of extremely high vibration and of extremely advanced consciousness. And so the message that you have here is coming in from the silver dragon, which is illuminating your potential with higher light. You have the ability to access untapped resources, look into your soul, and see higher possibilities. So next time you're in meditation, what you can do is ask to connect with the silver dragon and just see what information wants to come through. But knowing that you, who is in this video now, you are resonating with the frequency of the silver dragon, which is illuminating your potential and showing you that your gifts, if you already were aware of your spiritual gifts, just be aware now that they have amplified times a million, because these energies are amplifying exponentially, and everything is happening faster and everything is moving much faster. And so your gifts are coming online like that, but they are also being way more powerful than you realize. And so the more you anchor that in consciously, the more you are consciously embracing that fact and saying, yes, this is true, this is the energy at which I am vibrating, this is the frequency at which I resonate, then you are anchoring in those codes for yourself more and more. Now, the next message we have here is from the air dragon, which is helping you to rise above earthly matters. So just like I said, the more you are able to expand your consciousness and look at things from a much higher perspective, realizing that we are being pulled up. Earth has been stuck in such low vibrational frequencies for hundreds of thousands of years. And we are at a point where we are being given the opportunity to literally quantum leap into a much higher vibrational frequency. And we are not only doing this on an individual level, what is happening incredibly is the fact that more and more of humanity is awakening, which is allowing us to do this on a collective planetary level also, which is why we are going to, think about the changes that we saw when the internet was created and how suddenly all kinds of new things came and were implemented very quickly. Now think of that happening at a quantum level, because back then we had computers, but now we're looking at quantum computers, and a quantum computer is also your body. Your vessel is a living quantum computer, which is giving you the ability to quantum leap into much higher dimensional realities and to experience what you would call magic. But this is just you operating and experiencing this earth at a much higher vibrational frequency. And so this is, many people questioned, where did the Mayans disappear to? Well, they vibrated up to a much higher dimension so that they were still residing here upon the earth. They were residing on the earth at a different dimension. And so this is what this air dragon is, the message that it's bringing you, is that the higher you allow yourself to reach, to raise in your consciousness, the more you are able to reach these higher dimensional aspects of who you are. So communicate honestly. So the air dragon tells you to communicate honesty. It brings you inspiration and hope and tells you to see life from a higher perspective. Yes, be willing to move further and further up in the way that you are looking at things, at the way that you are looking at the general changes that are happening in the collective, but also the way you are looking and approaching your own life. Is keep asking for guidance to be able to look at things from a higher perspective. Now moving into messages from your ancestors. So the first card that we have here with the 11 is the Judge, poetic justice. And so look at this card. It's really giving me the energy of Libra. And Libra, as we know, is dominated by Venus, the planet of beauty and harmony and justice. This is where we get the concept of Ma'at in ancient Egypt, which was how, let's say, how we have government and laws. Ma'at was the divine laws that people lived by in ancient Egypt. And these divine laws of behavior, I want to call them, and morality were a big part of society, and people had to live by that code. It was a code of a code of living, essentially. It was a living code. And so we too are being asked to return to that living code of ma'at within ourselves, because what has happened is that we have let go of divine justice within, divine balance within. And so if every single vessel, if every single being on this planet it is out of balance and out of harmony, well, of course that is going to cause chaos at large, because we, the human beings, are also within our energy manifesting what is happening within our outer reality. And so if we are all distorted and imbalanced, then think of the things that we are created. So we are being called back into a place of resonance and balance, where we are coming back to our original divine frequency, the original divine blueprint of the human template, which is to come back to allowing judgment and poetic justice to reign. And just the fact that we have the 11, again, the 11 is the numerology of the high priestess. And so we are, as the divine feminine is awakening, and this is also for the gentlemen out there listening, remember, divine feminine and divine masculine live in both men and women, because we are all two halves of one whole. So to make me a whole, I have to balance my masculine and my feminine principles. To make a man whole in himself, he has to balance his masculine and feminine principles. And so the feminine principle has been completely eradicated. And because Africa represents the great mother, divine feminine, dark divine feminine, the original blueprint, those who impose poetic justice, and Mother Africa is the judge, jury, and executioner, for she is the root chakra. She is the spiritual liberator, for she is the spiritual judge. And this is why, you know, the colonizing entities of this world and the colonizing energies that have been imposed upon the world have inflicted so much hardship and have gone against the original divine blueprint of the earth, and therefore Mother Earth is pissed. And this is also why we are seeing so many natural disasters taking place, because Mother Earth is angry. She has been desecrated, and she has been raped, and she has been pillaged, and she has been dishonored, and her children have been dishonored. And this is why we are seeing all that is taking place. This is Mother Earth coming back into a state of balance, and in order for Mother Earth to come back into a state of balance, she must eradicate the disease. And the disease, unfortunately, also comes in the form of human beings, because we have been like a pestilence that has been overriding this planet. And the thing is, yes, there has been a lot of darkness that has been programmed into us. And so what is happening now is, thanks to the energies coming in from our planetary celestial system, is that new frequencies and energies are coming in that are helping us to remember that we lost our way, and that it is a time to heal those wounds that have come into our being because of all the trauma that has been imposed upon us, because of all these resets that have played out in the form of war, because all these wars that have been being fought since the First World War, the Second World War, the Bolshevik War, all these wars that have taken place in the last 300 years have all been, and even before that, have all been to keep taking Earth out of its original divine frequency. And so we can only really communicate on a level of frequency for people to comprehend, because as Earth comes back into her original divine frequency, the Earth is, things are just going to happen way faster than people can even experience. But all of this to say that poetic justice is returning to the earth, because the gods are returning and the gods are here to judge. So the next card we have here is the Goddess Circle, Wheel of Change, and the numerology is 10, which brings us it to a 1, 1 being the number of new beginnings, 1 also being the number of leadership. So we are seeing here that with the 11 we have poetic justice and allowing new leadership to take place in the form of the Goddess Circle. And this is how we are seeing divine feminine returning upon our earth, where the council because the true council, because we were all created by the Great Mother. And so the Great Mother wanted her daughters to be the ones to commune with her directly. Both man and woman had their role. And this is not to say that women are the higher sex, men are the weaker sex, men are the higher sex, women are the weaker sex. It's not about that. We both exist for different reasons, but we both exist to help and support one another. Men and women are most powerful within themselves when they are in balance and working in harmony with each other. And so it is not about one being higher than the other, but it is about simply everyone needs to do the role that they came here to do. It's like telling the ants to do the bird's job. What utter nonsense. That doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't mean that the ant is inferior or superior because the ant is on the ground and the bird is in the sky. It's utter nonsense. We are different. We came here to have different roles. And now is the time for the goddess circle to take place so that the wheel of change may turn. And so just like we have been living in a patriarchal system, it is not about the matriarchal being imposed, but it is about the matriarchal being honored. The patriarchy has been honored, but the patriarchy has gone rampant because the divine mother, the matriarch, has not been there to bring balance. We need to work in collaboration with one another, bringing our own contributions to the table, as we saw in the potluck card, because we each have things to bring to the table. And it is about honoring what each and every one of us has to bring to the table, because there is wisdom in all of us. And we were all created individually to share our individual wisdom, and to be part of using that individual wisdom to improve the experience of the collective. And that is literally what the archetype of Aquarian energy represents. So it is a time of change where we are honoring the divine feminine within and without. So the next card we have here is pulling from the Starseed Oracle deck is you are a starseed, and the message here is called. Souled gifts and training, it's time to step up. You are being asked to walk through the portal. You have been in training. The reason you were sent here to Earth was for training. You have been through your training. Now it is time for you to go out there and do your thing. You have been in the training, just like when kids first, when kids are first sent to school, it's like, okay, well, now you're done with school. Now you're graduating. Now you have to go out there and you have to embody and literally live all the information that you have been learning, because we're done with the learning. Now is the time to embody. Now it's not about saying, oh, we have to do this and this and we have to do that and that. Now is a time of doing. We're done with the talking. We've been talking. Now is a time to do. So you are being called to step up. You are being called to step into your gifts. You are being called to step into your mission, the mission that you actively chose to come here to do. And now, yes, it can feel sometimes, I find myself, getting really angry with my higher self, being like, why would you choose to bring us here, when I'm in my moments of frustration and wanting to just strangle the people who are being ridiculous in this world. But then I remember, yes, I chose to come here. I chose to be here because this is not just advancing myself and giving myself opportunities to literally embody my higher self in human form, but it is also allowing my higher self to quantum leap into much higher dimensions than I have ever been able to access before. And so the same applies to you. There are those quantum leaps that are happening here in the physical world, and there are also those quantum leaps that are happening in the spiritual world. But now is a time of marrying the two together, because remember, the veil between worlds is thinner than it has ever been before. And so it is starting to become more and more difficult to differentiate where the spiritual ends and the physical begins, and vice versa. This is why it's almost starting to be difficult I don't know about you, but sometimes I have difficulty remembering, did that happen in a dream or did that happen in real life? So it is because the veil is extremely, extremely thin. So the next card we have here is karmic relationships, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, conflict. Yes, we are coming into a time, as we saw here with the card Revelations, we are coming here into a remembering of our galactic history. The history that there was conflict, intergalactic wars between the Orions, the Syrians, the Pleiadians, the Draconians, and this war has continued to be fought here on this planet because this planet was taken as hostage. This planet was colonized by intergalactic beings that have continued to fight their war with each other here on the earth, using humanity as pawns in their war. And so there has been a lot of polarity, but we are at a point of growing within our soul as we are coming into a point where even the wars within the galaxies that have been being fought for God knows how long, we are coming to a point where we're coming to the end of these wars. We're coming to a point of great celebration where we are going to be reunited with our intergalactic brothers and sisters, where we are coming, these are these karmic relationships where we are putting to bed a lot of karmic situationships that have been happening here on earth, but also relate back to lifetimes in other galaxies. Let's just say it as it is. And I know that this can feel really far-fetched and really out there, but those of you who are vibrating on the same frequency as me will totally resonate with the words that I am saying. So we are coming to a point where we are coming to the end of these intergalactic conflicts that have been happening for so long. And this is why there is so much cosmic activity in our skies, because it is not just the Great War of Earth. These are intergalactic wars with which a lot of these wars have been played out on the Earth for the last, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of years, but it is coming to a close. So the next card we have here is perspective. None of this matters. Zoom out. Common ground. And interesting how we go here from karmic relationships to this, where this is what I've been saying, is the more we zoom out, the more we elevate in our perspective, the more all of this is going to make sense, because the history of our earth is an intergalactic history. Our story is intergalactic, and this is why we have the likes of CERN out there. CERN, which is actively playing with dimensions. CERN, where you can go and research this for yourself, where scientists are literally talking about the fact that CERN is a machine that is being used to open portals into other dimensions and allowing entities from these other dimensions, especially entities from much lower dimensions that were sealed off, that have been entering into our Earth space. And this is why there is so much negativity, because these entities that were never allowed to be here, well, essentially all of these portals are being closed with all the grid work that all these starseed light workers have been doing for a long time now. And they are bringing the energetic field of this planet back into a state of resonance, back into a frequency of resonance and harmony that is more in alignment with the original divine blueprint of the Earth's frequency. And this is being aided by the movement of all these planets within our skies, which is why this is being made possible at this time. And so there is really nothing for us to be fearing. We should really be in a state of celebration at this point in time, because we are being freed from this prison planet in which we have been living, where our free will was actively taken away from us for hundreds of thousands of years. And this happened. Our freedom was not the reason why our abilities have become so dormant, is because even our DNA was encoded with all kinds of lower vibrational frequencies that made us forget, not just on a mental level, but on a cellular level, on a DNA level, on a physical level, physiological level, on all levels of our being. And so we are activating in ways that are, this is why science is finally catching up with spirituality through things like quantum physics. They are finally starting to understand what spirituality has been talking about for so long. And these are why these changes, because so many people haven't yet been fully ready to awaken, now that it is, all this information is being grounded through science on a 3D perspective, now people are going to be awakening like that, because most people, well, they needed to see to believe. And so science is finally backing up all the stuff that has seemed very woo-woo to many people. And then they're also realizing, with all the revelations that are coming out about the truth about all these black ops projects that have been run by various space programs and things like the CIA and all of these, well, we're also starting to realize that the CIA have been using psychic warfare for decades. So let's close out this message with a final message from the fairy beings. So what messages do you have for our dear listeners at this time, fairies? Let's see. Messages and guidance. So yes, many, many changes continuing to take place in our earth at this moment. And so be very mindful of what's going on in your dream space. I don't know if you have been having as much stuff going on in your dreams as I have, but my dreams are feeling more and more real, and it feels like I'm even going through all kinds of initiations in my dreams. So would love to hear if you guys are experiencing something similar. So the first message we have from the fairies is moderation. Is there something you know you shouldn't be eating? Try to eat mindfully and healthily. Although the fairies say that a little bit of what you fancy is fine. So yes, moderation in your food. Make sure that you're eating as much healthy, wholesome foods as possible, staying away from too much meat, staying away from too many processed foods, just trying to eat as cleanly as you can. But this, I also want to say, is the content that you are consuming. Be very, very mindful of the music you're listening to, the movies you're watching, and just practice sealing your vessel, so that, because we know that a lot of movies are also parts of rituals, just make sure to seal your energetic self before you watch or listen to anything, so that nothing is seeping in. So the next message we have is go outside. Remember, we also had the message here, go out and play, take time in nature. So tune into the powerful peace of nature wherever you are and feel at one with your habitat. Yes, the more we're coming back into frequency with Earth's original blueprint, as I said, nature is still the closest, holds the closest frequency to that original template. So the more time you spend there, the more you are just allowing your vessel to naturally come into resonance with where it is naturally supposed to be. So the next card we have is come together. Again, similar to that potluck card. Fairies like to be busy, and a group of them is showing you that many hands make light work. Working as a team helps get the job done. Yes, we've been living in a time where there has been so much separation. Isn't it interesting that through things like technology, we're supposedly more connected than we've ever been before, but yet people don't really know how to connect with one another. So now is a time where, I don't know, maybe you guys like me have been really calling in soul family and connecting with people, like-minded souls, because I feel like this is what we've really been missing, is having the support of people who actually genuinely care about you, not people who are wanting to siphon your energy and take your kindness for weakness and use it to their advantage and your downfall. And last but not least, we have the card Wisdom. Have you ever been told that you're wise beyond your years? Now is the time to call upon your inner fairy wisdom to help you with a challenge. Yes, beloved, remember that you really have all the answers you need. All the answers that you continue to seek for in the outside realm can only truly be found within. You do really hold all the answers to what it is that you really need moving forward. So trust in your inner guidance, because in these times where so many people are pretending to be all kinds of prophets to have the answers, you know, a lot of false prophets are walking out there. And so really just a reminder that the messages that you need for you will truly only ever really be found within. So I hope these messages have brought you some insight, some helpful information, helpful tidbits, some helpful information for you moving forward, and just a reminder that you are a powerful being that was sent here for a great part of the changes that are happening within our collective today. And so trust your intuition, trust where you are guided, even if it doesn't make sense, even if people think that you're crazy. Trust the inner guidance that you are being given, because in these times it is really the only voice that you can really trust. So I'm sending you much love to you all, and would love to hear from you in the comments about what you are experiencing. And in the meantime, I'm sending you so much love, much support, and wishing you the best of luck as you continue journeying forward. Bye for now.